Hello, everyone. Terrence here with Hollywood Already Did It, and it's here the ill-timed COVID-19 movie, Songbird, starring KJ Apa, Demi Moore, Alexandra Daddario, Craig Robinson, and produced by Platinum Dunes, Michael Bay's production company. Is finally here. I'm going to give you my thoughts and review right after the jump. Real quick, if you haven't already, go ahead, like, share, subscribe to the channel, ring that bell below. Anytime we have something, you will be among the first to know. I don't know where to start with this film. I think it was Storm Shadow on the channel who asked, "Was this any good?" Short answer: no, it's not. It's not good at all. Uh, Long form answer: Songbird is a movie that takes a premise and has absolutely nowhere to go with it. Now, it's one thing to be offensive to get people to watch based off of the COVID 19 and the pandemic and all that stuff. It's like, all right, but to not have a payoff, to not tell an entire story, to do so makes it feel disingenuous. Now you're just tricking people to get to it. And I'm not sure necessarily which one's worse. Um, but this movie very much takes the thesis or the premise of COVID 19, and probably the first 15, 20 minutes kind of sticks that and lands that and hits that. And then it sort of goes off and branches off and does its own thing. And it leaves the premise where there's a lot more meat. If you're going to do this, there's a lot more meat to play with on that table than what they actually give us. Um, it's funny, some time ago, there was this writing competition that came up, and a group of friends of mine who did an online magazine together. We sort of did this thing where, all right, you go one way, you go one way, you go one way, and the four of us would write a script based on a theme or a thesis, and we would kind of piecemeal it all together on a thinly veiled string, like we're handing off a baton, and tell a succinct story. That is what this film feels like. It feels like about four or five different writers went to four different rooms with four different scripts and like, all right, I'll write this about this. I'll do this about this music producer and wife who having a hard relationship, and I'll do this about this random girl who moved from one small town to this town to become a music star and got involved with him somehow. And then we'll talk about the wheelchair bound former veteran who has a drone for reasons that the script needs them to have. Uh, and it feels like that is what we do to come up with this very piecemeal together, not horror, not romance, not sci-fi, just that comes together with for this film with a lot of famous people: Bradley Whitford, Demi Moore, Alexandra Daddario, Craig Robinson, who seem to just owe favors to put together this film that doesn't really go anywhere. I don't care anything about any of the characters when this film is over with. I don't care or remember much of the plot. And this movie is only 80 something minutes long, but it feels like a chore and a slog to get through. There are no real. What the trailer made it seem like there was going to be some real suspenseful moments. It's not. There aren't any. The most suspenseful scenes that you see are within the trailer, and then once you see them in the context of the film, they stop being suspenseful. And some of that's because of the acting doesn't give us anything to care about in the of the characters. It becomes a MacGuffin film where we're chasing an item where the wristband is what protects people or gives the people, the cops who are training these, who are watching these quarantine zones. They give them the cue that this person's immune and I don't need uh, to to kill them or to trap them. So it becomes a MacGuffin to try to get that. That's what the last basically 50 minutes of this film are, with some side stories going, like I said, that don't really intertwine as well as I think they all think they should. There is not a good movie in here. I think the only thing that I can walk away with after watching this saying is that the young lady who was our lead in this, our second lead, KJ Alpa is the actual lead, but our co-star, she's the closest thing that I can get to having somebody to actually root for or care for. Um, but she is more of an object or an eye of an affection than an actual character. So there's no way to really get as attached to her. I think just because of the way uh, of what situation she's in and how she interacts is what gives us the little glimpse of humanity in it. But the rest of it is just like this is a very cold, dark film that is more of an exercise to say, hey, we can make a movie during COVID-19. Whether or not we should remains to be seen. So my scale of once is enough, play it again, Sam, or give me a time stone so I never have to think about this film again. Please erase every inch of my brain. I never want to think about this film again. I never want to talk about this film again. Storm Shadow, the answer is no, this film is not good, but that all should have given you that this is a hell no. And you can find much better things to do with your time than watch Songbird. I took a bullet for you guys so that you guys don't have to kind of talk about, I know in the trailer I said that this film is a film that was sort of tasteless to begin with to make. I still stand by that. But I think what's worse is they take a film, a concept for a film, and make a non-genre specific movie um, to ploy people in, but then really do nothing about that. It would be a lot like if while the planes are actually hitting the towers for 9/11, someone is taking a camera, filming it, and making a movie about stoners on a road trip. That's what this feels like, and how cheap and how gross this movie, the concept of this movie is to make something that has absolutely nothing to actually say, do, or relate to anything that is actually currently happening. But if you haven't, you can follow us on Twitter at HollywoodADI. You can hit us up on email at HollywoodAlreadyDidIt@gmail.com. We also have a podcast with the same name that is on Google Podcasts, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, anywhere that plays podcasts. We're a little light right now because there are no movies coming out, but you can go back and look at the back catalog. Well, I'm sure we'll have something there for you. We also have a sister podcast that called You Can't Do That Anymore, where we talk about all classic films like Gone with the Wind or American Beauty or Tropic Thunder, and we look at those movies and what they did back then through the eyes of today and see if some of the things that they did with those films that they can do today. But like always, I got my ticket. You got yours.